Brown, Julie Engel, and a couple of other groups, including the California Strawberry Commission. And I know Carolyn is here. She's here somewhere. Hi, Carolyn. Thank you. And the Monterey Bay Aquarium. And we have Ken here. What is that, the sponsor table over here? So, both the Strawberry Commission and the Monterey Bay Aquarium are involved through our Partner Voices program. And that's, as a nonprofit, we don't technically take advertising, but what we do is if groups, individuals, philanthropists, nonprofit agencies or businesses would like to support Voices of Monterey, we ask them to name a charity of their choice that we will promote and write a story about and feature on Voices of Monterey Bay. And both the California Strawberry Commission and the Monterey Bay Aquarium took advantage of that and got us sort of kick-started on this program, and we really appreciate it. Thank you so much. So you were, we have a full schedule of performances and speeches and all kinds of different things. It's part of what we do at Voices of Monterey Bay. There's lots of different ways to tell a story. You know, we can. There's the printed word. There's podcast, and there's these little pop-up sort of events that we're doing like tonight. And so our first and in each performance and speech, I'm going to be drawing a raffle ticket or two. So if you haven't purchased raffle tickets, or if you haven't purchased enough raffle tickets, please do so. And before we, so our first guest is someone that probably is familiar to you all. She just is in the midst of a very brutal race for California State Senate, and I think she has something to tell us. So Anna, come back.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you, Joe, for allowing me to say a few words here today. So I went to sleep last night, and I was 1,000 votes ahead in this Senate race. And I woke up this morning, and I was 1,000 votes ahead. And today, at this point, I'm 6,000 votes ahead. So yes. It's done. And so despite the fact that there will be counting ballots probably for the next couple of weeks, the way that it works is that if you get far enough ahead, then there's no way they can catch you. And this Senate district, just so you know, includes, it starts right outside of Modesto, goes down to Kingsburg, goes over to Coalinga, goes on 198, if you've never driven it, you should, it's Priest Valley, to San Mardo, and then up the Salinas Valley. It includes San Benito County, Pacheco Pass up to Wesley. So it's a huge district. It is mostly agricultural, and the biggest city is Salinas, and the three biggest cities are Salinas, Merced, and Madera, and that's about 1/3 of the population, and then 2/3 live in small little communities, county unincorporated, and communities of like 15, 20,000. So basically, this race this is a Democratic district. It has an 18-point Democratic advantage registration, but it's been in Republican hands for over 20 years. And the reason is because it's always in a off-year election. It is not during a presidential election. And so this district voted very heavily for Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, but then the off years, it's the voting goes terrible. And so we did a very, very aggressive grassroots campaign, and as Joe mentioned, it was really an ugly campaign. And it's easy because I've got 20 years of voting history, and you can pick up something and take a little piece of it and tell a little bit of a truth, and then lies around the rest of it, and it scares people, and that's really what they were trying to do. And this really, I think, works well with what Joe was just telling about, which is that you know, back in the day, people got their news from reading the newspaper in the morning. It's the reason they got up and read it. I still get the newspaper, and I read it always, but most people don't. That's not where they get their news. And part of the challenge is they have cut the reporters back so drastically that it's very difficult to get anybody to pay attention to what's really going on in politics. Like, what are we really working on? And so the Voices of Monterey is really a critical component of what we need to support, because the more that we can have people analyzing whether things are truthful or not, or telling you the context in which things are happening so that you can make your own choices, the better off we're going to be. Otherwise, people can pick up a little snippet, tell you a little bit about what's the truth, tell you a little bit of a truth, and then the rest of it is just hogwash. And that's really, I got up every morning and I had to see that, you know, drinking my cup of coffee in the morning, I had to see those nasty ads. And they were very mean-spirited and very brutal, because anytime you talk about condoms, anytime you talk about prisoners, anytime you talk about gang violence, it raises this angst that people have, and what they were trying to do is to keep people from voting. And in particular, because this has a very big Latino population, we're trying to scare Latinos by saying, look, she's hanging out with gay members, and she's allowing people to shoot up in your neighborhood and all kinds of things. So it was pretty ugly. The really good thing is that we had a plan. We executed that plan, and the numbers are coming back. And before I forget, because I did forget, a year ago, Juan decided he was going to retire out of the blue. He says, I'm going to retire. I'm going to play golf and have a good time. And I told him I'm running for the Senate. And so he has been my driver. I call him Uberanga. He was there whenever I needed him. And I just threw my app. And we probably put something like 65,000 miles on his truck during this campaign. And so he deserves a round of applause. Thank you very much for allowing me to make that announcement here today, and just to say that we're total supporters of Voices of Monterey, and we think that it's the way to go. You know, if we have to lose the daily newspapers as a place where we're going to get our information, to have another alternative is really important. So thank you.
Thank you,
You heard it here first.
Yeah, you heard it here first. Juan, I'm sorry, man. So, but before we go on, just sort of out of the blue this morning, yesterday, Dusan over here emailed me and said, hey, would you like to have this live streamed? And I said, yeah, sure, why not? So we're live streaming this on Facebook, on social media right now. So, and Dusan, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So what we're going to do is pull a couple of raffle tickets, and then so the first winners get first choice at the wine bar, or the wine stash back there. So
I'm not feeling it.
what's there to feel? I want to put my hand in there. Okay, so everybody's numbers start with 4517, probably, right? Okay, so the last three numbers are 534. 534.
So go pick the wine of your choice.
Yeah. Bota. And then we'll do one more. and that number is 703. 70. Wow. So,
703, that's it.
before we bring our next performer up, and that'll be Jota Effectus, I would like to introduce our staff. We have a lot of other writers and whatnot here, and I'll introduce them later, but sort of our founding members include myself. My name is Joe Livernois. I don't know if I've introduced myself properly yet, but I'm Joe Livernois. This is Julie Reynolds Martinez here. The hostess with the mostest is Claudia Melendez Salinas in the very back there. We also have Catherine McKenzie here. The cool thing is that Kathy's coming up a little later, and she's going to do her juggling act. She's really good.
Flaming bowling pin.
Yeah, flaming bowling pins. And also, he's not a founder, but he's a founder in our heart, and that's Royal Calkins. And Royal, as we all know, is very awesome, and he's going to be up here in a little bit talking about the recent victory that he had on behalf of the Voices of Monterey Bay, and so he's going to be able to sort of croak for all that. That's going to be awesome. So in the meantime, we have we'll bring up Jota Effectus. He's from Salinas by way of Watsonville, by way of Ensenada, by way of Oaxaca, and yeah, right. His parents are from Oaxaca, and so he has a presentation he would like to make. So go ahead, you're on.
Thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Jorge Flores. I go by Jota Effectus. My family is from Oaxaca, but I go by a native from the New Savvy Nation. We tend to forget the natives do not only live here in the U.S., but also all the way down to South America, when I call it like that. So I'm gonna start off by saying a few spoken word pieces, and they're all gonna be in Spanish. So, you know, I can only explain a little bit of it and then keep on going. Esto es para todos los que me entienden. Muchísimas gracias a toda la gente que está haciendo la comida, a todos los servidores. Muchísimas gracias por todo ese esfuerzo. We don't make America run, but we definitely make sure that we make America run. No. Claro que sí, como chingados que no dices. Antes que nada, respeto a quien se que aquí a quien le pese, aquí se siguen creces, a pesar de las bajas, luchar a marcar territorio como un animal. Porque será que se admira una era contraria a la nuestra. Rapero viendo películas del 90, 2010 y tantos, homie, ya hasta si se cuenta, sin papeles por papeles para pagar la renta. Con el tiempo de tu vida para pagar por tu tiempo de vida, no es mentira. Lo oscuro de la verdad. Miraron más real que sentir, al expresar experiencias lo que es compartir. Y nos dicen que la vida así es, pero la verdad es que no les creemos. Ya tenemos rato conociendo el terreno. No estamos porque podemos, estamos porque es nuestro. De nuestra vida por dignidad retomamos el puesto, dejando huella como inmigrantes en el cerro. Ya tú sabes, el plástico desintegrado en el desierto. Es cierto, no tengo papeles, pero eso no me detiene de obtener el papel. Llámame bandido, pero no tan bendito como aquel que se aprovecha de aquel. Sé que estoy bendecido de leer las lenguas que se me presentan frente. dejando huellas desde las calles de Salaztlán. 831 JF está presente, ¿me entiendes, Méndez? Voy con los lentes bien polarizados, mirando a otro lado. Sé que no lo habían esperado. Un oaxaqueño de sangre mixteca, mix letra con flow, brotada del dolor y el color de mi test. Llegó el hip hop a despertarlo otra vez. Que suelten los moscos y me cambio de color. Una burla cínica ante sus burlas críticas y odio. Imperio querido, podrá reírte ahora, pero la gente colabora para colaborar, menos en tus fechoras. Voltear la moneda y ver cómo imploras por perdón en tu propio infierno, por perdón en tu propio infierno. So that one pretty much what talks about, I introduced myself and I asked for permiso in a way that I was taught. Y también I went into talking about, you know, being a migrant coming from a lot of different places and talking about the experience of the things that I've seen and the things that I went through. Y con lo siguiente dice, micrófono, micrófono, checa la realidad pesada, como lágrimas de madre, como lágrimas de sangre, como la verdad te cambie. El barrio está que arde, el enemigo común, supremacía blanca y la juventud desorientada, desconectada de las raíces de nuestra raza. Dime tú qué pasa, blancos con historiales sueltos por las calles, a los homies dales one chance para perder sus libertades. El racismo está presente en nuestra juventud carente del conocimiento de sus potenciales. Y una escuela que te enseña solo a ser empleado, no a desarrollarte. Mi posición autodidacta, no seré un número frío más como quieren que sea. Seré quien quiero ser aunque el sistema se oponga y nos oponga. Estereotipos degradantes en televisión y radio a la imagen de mi test. ¿Qué pues? ¿Qué crees? ¿Somos tus bebés? Sobrevivencia lo que es. Opto por no violencia, but don't push me to the edge, porque me tendré que defender, no solamente física, pero espiritualmente también. Así que no se deje y deje huella, playa. Así que no se deje y deje huella, playa. Así que no se deje y deje huella, playa. Así que no se deje y deje huella, deje huella. And so, you know, with all honesty, what I talk about in this song is about migration. I talk about white supremacy, I talk about racism, and I talk about privilege that we don't have just because we're people of color. So that's pretty much what this passage poem just said. And so for the next one, I'm gonna close it up with the song que se llama Just Cry, Déjame Llorar. And I really want to emphasize this song to myself and to all the males in the house tonight, because I was raised in this world to not be aware of my emotion, to always suppress my emotions. And so I learned that now that I embrace my emotions and I deal with my emotions, I've been able to free myself from a lot of weight. Y dice algo así. Déjame llorar para yo sanar, dice no deben llorar los hombres. Lo dicen personas que no saben lo que es ser un hombre. Nacer, aparentar, aprender a calmar los ojos. No dejar entrar oxígeno tampoco y saber exhalar poco a poco. No dejar que suene agudo el esófago. No dejar que suene agudo el esófago. Y creer que eres poco por no tener lo suficiente en el coco. Déjame llorar para yo sanar, dice no deben llorar los hombres. Lo dicen personas que no saben lo que es ser un hombre. Nacer, aparentar, aprender a calmar los ojos. No dejar entrar oxígeno tampoco y saber exhalar poco a poco. No dejar que suene agudo el esófago. Y por lógico, creas que un hombre lo debe de saber todo. Creer que tenemos que siempre ganarle. Y si no ganamos, pues ya quedas tirado como a la chingada. Y la neta, de ahí no van las cosas, porque todos somos hermanos y hermanas. Y es que la verdad es que déjame llorar para yo sanar, dice no deben llorar los hombres. Déjame llorar para yo sanar, dice no deben llorar los hombres. Me dijeron, pero es una mentira que yo crecí creyendo. Me dijeron, pero es una mentira que yo crecí creyendo. Ahora estoy yo grande y lo estoy corrigiendo porque me estoy enseñando a mí mismo de que en la escuela no se enseña lo que me deberían de estar enseñando. Y sigo continuando, cantando lo que sale desde el corazón, puro amor. Claro. Tenemos miedo de confrontar el conflicto porque nos pone en un lugar no muy cómodo. Pero es ahí donde se crece. Porque como las semillas salimos de la oscuridad, es ahí donde se crece. Porque como las semillas salimos de la oscuridad, es allí donde se crece. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you, everybody. Again, I hope I affect you. Thank you to Voices of Monterey Bay for having me today. I really appreciate it, Joe, and I'll pass the mic around.
What you need to know is that Jota needs to be in Springville, California, which apparently is, has anybody ever heard of that place? It's near Fresno. By Porterville. At 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. He's going to be at a conference of young Oaxacans who are talking about cultural and lots of different issues. And so thank you for making the sacrifice for being here. So we have another couple of raffle tickets, so pull those things out. Have last three numbers is 586. 586. Woohoo! She doesn't even have to stagger far to get it.
You got your own.
And then we'll do one more. 482. 482. You have to stagger. Okay, so there's a couple of our Voices of Monterey Bay contributors in the house that I would like to introduce to folks. Kyle's not here.
He is stuck in traffic, trying to get here.
Okay, well, when Kyle shows up, I'm definitely going to have to introduce you to Kyle. This is the sort of guy Kyle is. He rescued a sea lion yesterday right outside the shore here. But we also, the guy with the camera running around is David Royal. David, where are you? He's been doing great work for us. I don't know if you read the story. Oops. About Bobby Darin, but that was written by our old friend Paul Wilner. Paul, thank you for showing up. This week we ran a gun piece, and that's always fun, written by Paul Carrer. And thank you, Paul. And then last week we did, I always get this, the Calaveras. Calaveras, their poetry commemorating the Day of the Dead. And Salvador Munoz from Salinas was...
Walking out the door.
Walking out the door, there he is. And then we also have with us tonight Isa Rana. Oh, there she is. Yay! Thank you for being here. Also a Calavera. Yeah, she got a Calavera. Yeah, very good. It's like the Calavera table right over here. Okay, so our next presenter will be the aforementioned star of the show, Royal Coggins. Roy, come on. Yeah, and so you have to kiss the mic, I'm told.
Yes, kiss the mic.
Kiss the mic.
I'm going to talk a little bit about unintended consequences and finding opportunity in unlikely places. people who know me well are tired of hearing me recite statistics about the news industry around here, but I had told us already tonight to knock up here. When I started at the Monterey Herald in 2000, there were more than 40 journalists in the newsroom. Today, I think it's 7. I might have missed. I mean, it could be 8 or it could be 6. I'm not sure, but it's way down there. I think it's 7, isn't it?
I think it's less than.
Even scarier numbers at the San Jose Mercury News. At the same time, this was in 2000. They had, I think it was 385 journalists in the newsroom. Today they have 35. So this has been not a plan, but this has been something that the corporate world, the newspaper owners, and our lesser politicians and lesser advertisers and lesser corporate interests have been kind of pleased to see that sort of the collapse of journalism. But that has the unintended consequences. Part of this is what we're seeing through things like Voices, and there are things like Voices all over the country now that are popping up as an alternative. There's some real journalism going on in these places. And in some ways, and this is a sort of a glass is half full thing, in some ways some good journalism is happening that I think might not have happened otherwise. So I'll try to make it quick, but I recently wrote a bunch of stories about the city attorney in Carmel, Glenn Mazingo. He's the guy that got hired as a city attorney in Carmel, even though his resume is about half fiction. He claims to have won awards that he didn't win. He claims that he did represented cities that he hadn't represented. He said he'd been special counsel to Darrell Gates in Los Angeles for 8 years when he hadn't. He said that while working 40 years as a probate lawyer, he handled 138 jury trials. Any lawyers in the room? He had 138 jury trials, losing only 2. Well, if that's true, I run 100 dash in about 9.2. We can just make up statistics. Well, I started paying attention to Mr. Mazingo's career because some of the things he was doing for the city of Carmel didn't make sense. So I started looking at his resume, and his resume turned out to be fiction. But the reason, if I had still been in the newspaper, I don't think that story would have ever happened because it was too difficult. It took too much time. Pam Marino at the Monterey County Weekly did a great job of trying to cover that story. She worked really hard. But I had an advantage. I was working at home in my pajamas. I didn't have a boss. I didn't have any deadlines. She had to do her other work, and that made it really hard. And it's very difficult to prove negatives. I mean, it's a fairly easy thing as a journalist to prove that something happened. It's a much harder task to prove that something didn't happen. This guy didn't do the work he claimed. Because his resume didn't have any dates, it didn't have any names. It just, I once represented the city of Whittier in serious litigation. Well, what decade? Who am I going to check that with? It was really I probably had 6 weeks of full-time work into it. It worked out well. We ended up having to sue the city of Carmel for some public records. They're paying. Just the other day they had to agree to pay our attorney fees. Unfortunately, Neil Shapiro, the greatest lawyer ever, isn't here tonight. He did a wonderful job for us. So looking forward to the future, I want to try to extrapolate this a little bit. Back when I was with the Herald, one of the companies in town that was probably least, I had fewer fans there than anywhere else, and that's Cal-Am. Cal-Am was not at all sad when I left the Herald several years ago. And in fact, they lobbied kind of heavily to try to get rid of me, and it worked, but it was fine. It was time for me to go. Well, now, over the next few years, Cal-Am's going to be one of the most important stories in Monterey County. And it's going to be a very complicated story, a very difficult story. And it's going to be a very challenging story for the local press to write about, and for KSBW, for the Herald, the Pine Cone. The Pine Cone's not going to cover it for shit, but the Weekly will do a pretty good job with it. But unfortunately for Cal-Am, and I think fortunately for the readers, I'm going to be covering this Cal-Am takeover thing in my pajamas with a lot of time on my hands. I'm hoping to cover it well. But we need some support because somebody's got to pay for those pajamas. So keep on coming in. But thanks for being here.
Thank you, Royal, and thank you for the work you're doing for us and with us. And you know that Royal, before he started working with Voices of Monterey Bay, had his own blog called The Partisan, and so we've kept a partisan name, and it's sort of the place where we allow some opinion through the. But we also.
It's fact.
Well, yeah, there's.
You maybe.
But part of us we're voices. We're the voices of Monterey Bay, and so what we hope to do. I mean, we want to be able to continue to provide solid journalism with good, solid journalists, and I introduced you to a bunch of them earlier today. But we also want to make ourselves available to folks who do have opinions, who do have voices, who do want to expound and get their point of view across. And so you're always welcome to submit. Might not always run what you send, but please keep us in mind if you would like to be able to. If you're an expert in something and want to talk about it, please do. So if you haven't won a raffle yet, it probably means that you haven't bought enough tickets. So I'm going to pull a couple of more, and then we'll take it. So where's Nicole? No, Nicole. Nicole. I want you to, because I want to show off your dress. Please. She came dressed for the occasion. Nicole. And so, Nicole, and tell just very briefly talk about your spoken word thing in Pacific Grove.
Hi, I'm Nicole Henares. I'm a high school English teacher in San Francisco, but the Monterey Peninsula is home. In 2001, I ran away to San Francisco with aspirations of becoming a writer, and yet I couldn't stop writing about Monterey, because I often had to distill what people's notions were of what the Monterey Peninsula was. Which you guys are also doing. So I still, as a labor of love, come down once a month or sometimes every other month, and I help host a poetry reading series in Pacific Grove. We are not having Creative Words this month because of Thanksgiving, but it will resume in late December. We are, however, having many of the writers that feature at Curated Words are having a play at the Dali Museum on the 23rd and 21st. 23rd and 24th. And you said something about my crazy dress, and it's the news has been insane lately, or always been insane. So this is Harry Potter, the Daily Prophet. It's about the Death Eaters, and I had this dress made in November of 2016 because I know the ship was going to hit the fan, and because it was like Voldemort was definitely back and running for president. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. No, that was perfect. Thanks. I can enjoy curated words in Pacific Grove. It's beautiful, and at the Dali Museum during the, I think that's the Thanksgiving break. So the weekend was perfect. So did we pull off? I was going to have Nicole pull numbers, but I'll do it. That's all right. 682. 682. If nobody claims it, I'm going. Oh, I got it. Yeah. So you pick up your wine back there. Okay. Yeah. Oh, and the next number. Wait a minute. This can't be right. 650.
Oh, that's me.
So my son is a sort of a performance artist of sort who goes, my last name is, or his last name is Livernoise. He likes to go by living room. So I really need to connect him with our next performer, who is called Sofa Queen. Sofa Queen, come on up and do your thing.
Everybody. So I go by the name of La Sofa Queen, and I am born and raised in Salinas. Represent. So I call myself an MC and a spoken word artist. So tonight I want to share a couple of a cappella pieces for you guys, and I hope you guys enjoy. I am a simple woman, not much different from any other woman, except that I am, in every way, genetically enclosed in my DNA, different. I have these tears running down my face from pain that I've displaced in different space, so I pinned my hair back so they could see the culture in my face. Generations of withered roses that bleed bright red when I speak their name, and I've carried the seed within my womb, her roots latching on beneath the surface that no one sees. Knowing me better than I know myself, she is vital to my survival. I have these tears running down my face from pain that I've displaced in different space, and this here runs deep in the blood of me and my brothers, offsprings of the same mother. We carry the last name proud like tattoos on chest, and I have respect for anyone that has respect for the dialogue, grabs their pen and tags along when the feeling is much too strong. But it's a sentence which carries all the burden, a space to displace the pain, which dries all the tears from my face. Thank you. So this next piece is actually, it's a new piece. I've never performed it before, so I was practicing it on the way here, so if I forget the words, I'm sorry. He came to me in a vivid dream where all of God's children roam freely, living in eternal harmony. My beautiful brown queen, I see you are seeking peace. I laughed a little. That was saying the least. But he already knew that before the time or the idea even conceived in the crevices of my cortex. I took a deep breath and spoke willfully. How could it be we are living so casually in a world filled with mass casualty? And half of the time I'm fighting for myself. I bare my soul, but they want skin. I use this pen, I use this rhyme, I use this time to start the conversation. But when the topic's on, it's like cats caught your tongue. It's no wonder you out here mumbling, stumbling off of your lean. You get rich schemes. You fuck over anybody just to get a taste of the American pie. Let's talk about the dream. What do you mean you didn't know? Exploiting generations is the national theme on every TV screen. Check the POTUS to notice. Clowning around wearing all orange. And every day is getting harder to wake up. Every day is getting harder to get up. But no longer do I choose to remain in a situation that leaves me asking for your validation. I am worthy enough of love. I've had enough pain to last a lifetime. A birth given right since the beginning of indoctrination. And a wise man once told me, you can't change the world with a poem, but don't ever let it stop you from giving it your best shot. So showing up, I'ma show 'em up. Spewing poetry till I'm blue in the face and my lungs run out of space. Until my work is done, until that day shall come, I'll be slow dancing in the rain and basking in the sun. So what's up? I came to talk about love until my tongue goes numb. Thank you. I want to do one more for you guys, but this next one, I want to invite one of my dearest friends, the homie Jota Efectus. We wrote a beautiful poem together. We haven't practiced it in a really long time, and it's a little lengthy, so hopefully we can pull through. I think we can do it without the mics. Yeah.
Oh yeah. This poem is about self-love, and it's titled "I Love Me." I love me.
Me amo.
I love me.
En serio, me amo.
A statement that took years to learn.
Una declaración que tomó años para aprender.
A statement which took strength to own.
Una declaración que tomó años para poseer.
Somewhere between childhood and adolescence, the message of self-love was vandalized.
Algo dentro de la niñez y la adolescencia, el mensaje de amor propio fue brutalmente abusado.
Lost in translation like a game of telephone. Somehow love yourself turned into hate yourself. And I did.
Como en los juegos de teléfono, el mensaje quedó totalmente extraviado. De alguna manera, amor propio pasó a ser odio propio, y así fue.
Subconsciously laying malignant in my thoughts, which threaten the health of my self-love. Digging and digging to bury every trace of myself, desperate to be anyone but me.
Mientras comentarios moldearon la idea de cómo debería amarme. Mientras indagaba y quería desesperadamente cualquier máscara que no fuera la mía. Y así fue.
Flipping through TV stations and magazine ads only have me questioning my self-image. Fair-skinned, colored hair, colored eyes. That will never be me. It's not that I hate the white image, it's that I hate that they say that it is the only standard of beauty. That girl that I will never be. With my brown skin, and my brown eyes, and my brown hair. Yet they use this as a summer trend, and when I say me, I mean you. You as in us. My version of self-hate might be different from yours, but I bet you can relate.
Y así, mientras moría por dentro, el genocidio de mis emociones capturé. Y así, entre mis más oscuros pensamientos, la muerte acariciaba lo más sensible de mi ser. Pues al no ser aquel estándar que se acepta, soy aquel otro contraste que no se acepta, no se admite. Y cuando se hace, es simplemente para repetirle lo que ya todo el mundo le enseñó, que no es bastante, que es ignorante, que el color tierra de su piel se mira sucio y no es relevante. But hold up, this brown rebel inside me is telling me to speak up. They're trying to tear us apart, robando de nuestra tierra el arte. Como el puño nos mantenemos juntos llenos de amor, y aún así se muestran con armas listos para atacar a quienes solo defienden lo que esta tierra nos da. They say it's for the good of our pockets, I mean, our people, of course. Mi gente, no se dejen engañar. Snakes like to wrap around apple trees and drop ill seeds. Uprise the fools that speak without knowledge. We must acknowledge that we, with our brown skin, are enough. We are good enough. We are beautiful enough. Ahora siembro con el agua que yo me aguanté. Pues si me odias, yo te amo, porque creo en la catch. I love me.
Me amo.
I love me.
En serio, me amo.
A statement that took years to learn.
Una declaración que tomó años para aprender.
A statement which took strength to own.
Una declaración que tomó fuerza para poseer.
Este es mi testimonio. This is my testimony.
Thank you, La Esposa, Queen, and Ota. That was beautiful. It was beautiful. So again, you know, your chances are running low if you haven't won a bottle of wine. There's still raffle tickets. We have more raffle tickets than we have bottles of wine. So buy some more. So here we go with the rap. Number is 702. 702. Okay, that's mine then. 702. There we go. Very good. So, and then our next number is 501. Oh, good. Very good. Okay, I promised that Kathy McKenzie was going to be juggling bowling balls, right? Bowling balls. So here she is with her bowling balls. No, it's not bowling balls. Kittens. Kittens, yes. Oh, okay. Yes, it's got to be short.
All right, can everybody hear me all right? Okay. I'm Kathy McKenzie, or as my byline says, Catherine. It is the same person, it's really me. I'm one of the editors and writers at Voices. And this with me is my very talented brother, Cameron McKenzie. We grew up in Santa Cruz. He now lives in Aptos, and I live in the North Monterey County community of Royal Oaks. So, still pretty close to Santa Cruz. Kind of in between Santa Cruz and Monterey. So we're going to perform a song for you. One of the things that a lot of people don't know about me is I sing sometimes when I'm not, doing other stuff. And this is actually my first time performing in public. So. We're going to perform a song by the late, great Woody Guthrie. I don't know if you all know who he is. If you do, you probably think of him as that guy who wrote This Land Is Your Land. He was actually a lot more than that. He wrote songs about what he lived through in the Great Depression. He joined thousands of other Okies as they traveled throughout the West, seeking any kind of work they could get. He wrote songs to give a voice to the voiceless and to speak for oppressed peoples. This is a song he wrote about migrant farm workers in 1941. It's called Pastures of Plenty. It's a mighty hard road that my poor hands have hoed. My poor feet have traveled that hot, dusty road. Out of your dust bowl westward we rode. Your desert was hot and your mountain was cold. I work in your orchard of peaches and prunes. I slept on the ground by the light of your moon. On the edge of your city, you've seen us, and then we come with the dust and we go with the wind. California, Arizona, I pick all your crops. North up to Oregon to gather your hops. Hit the beets from the ground, cut the grapes from your vine to set on your table that light sparkling wine. Green pastures of plenty from dry desert ground. From the Grand Coulee Dam where the water runs down. Every state in this union us migrants have been will work in your fight, and we'll fight till we win. Well, it's always we ramble that river and I. All along your green valley, I'll work till I die. Stand all defend with my life if need be, as my pastures of plenty must always be free. It's a mighty hard road that my poor hands have hoed. My poor feet have traveled that hot, dusty road. On the edge of your city, I've seen us and men. We come with the dust and we go with the wind. We come with the dust and we go with the wind.
Beautiful. Catherine McKenzie, thank you so much. Yeah, and she can write. So we'll get back to the raffle in just a little bit, but I would like to introduce our next guest, but to preface her, I want to say that one of the things that we don't talk about too much here at Voices of Monterey Bay, but one of the things that we're extremely proud of is our participation in the Monterey County Youth Media Project that was started by our good friend Marcos Cabrera. And essentially what it started off as is a 2-week journalism boot camp where high school, junior college age kids devote 2 weeks out of their summer vacation to be involved in a classroom setting and learn how to be young journalists. And a lot of these, I mean, the intention isn't necessarily to make them reporters, but the intention is if they like to be able to write, if they like to be able to be in a profession where they need to interact with people and think critically and to be able to converse and interview people, this is for them. And it's been great. We've done this for 2 summers now, and we have started doing a weekly class setting. I think it's on Tuesdays in Salinas. And as instructors at these journalism boot camps, we're always so inspired by the stories that these kids come up with. And one of our star students is here to share her story tonight, and her name is Yaneli Gregorio. So let's give her a big round of
Can you guys hear me? Yeah. Alright. Well, my name is Yaneli, and I go to Alisa High School, and I was born and raised in Salinas. Yeah. And first of all, I just gotta thank all of you for inviting me here. It's so amazing being here and sharing my voice as a youth. And so I was able to meet these amazing individuals from Voices of Monterey Bay at the journalism camp, where I went in thinking it was just gonna be like an English class where you do a lot of writing and all that stuff. And I was just thinking I wanted to expand my vocabulary, knowing that I come from a background where my parents didn't attend school, so I kind of like had to work the extra mile. So I went in, and it was hard for me to write. I hated writing, and I hated writing. And so when I went in, I decided to kind of search up on school lunches because I was really intrigued growing up. The kind of lunches they serve us, they don't really look healthy. Hamburgers, pizza, that kind of was something I questioned a lot, but as a kid, I kind of shut my mouth and ate it because that's what kind of they teach us. So once I hit high school, I was really like, I do really want to do that research. I want to know like what kind of like process the food has to go through in order to be approved by like the food managers and everything. So I really discovered a lot of things in it, and I found out the pizza is actually smart pizza because of the tomatoes. So it was kind of really like blew my mind. I'm like, how? But anyways, yeah. And after this boot camp, I kind of was able to learn more about myself, and I was able to kind of be more aware of what's happening around my community. Because before this, I was kind of like just in my shell. I was afraid to put my voice out there and express how I think. But after this, I'm not afraid to share how I think. I'm not afraid to share my thoughts. I'm not afraid to share my voice or what I believe in. And that's what I love about this writing. You could help so many people by just writing. You could even have the voice to those people who might not be able to have the voice. Like my parents, like my dad right here, I could speak for him because he might not be able to because of his condition like he is and by the president that's right now. But me, that I'm a youth, I have a voice to be able to represent those in my community. And that's how much I love about this. And because of this, I put my mind that I'm going to go to college and major in journalism because I want to share that voice and come back to my community and help them and have a voice and be the voice of them. So, thank you.
So you see why we get inspired? Awesome. So every time I hear the folks who've been through this program talk about this program, I get choked up. I really do. It's just awesome. Speaking of getting choked up, there was a sea lion rescue. I think I mentioned this earlier, just yesterday, right outside the back door here. Julie and myself and our writer Kyle Martin. Kyle? Your family showed up. We were here doing some business, and then he sort of lingered and stumbled upon a stranded sea lion and rescued the dang thing. So he had a deadline actually that he was supposed to meet for us, and he didn't do it. So the sea lion was his excuse. Okay, so we have three bottles left.
Wait, I want to say something.
Oh, okay.
Kyle drove all the way out from Texas to write for Voices of Monterey Bay. Awesome. He is one of our great young writers too, so I just want to throw that in.
Good. Thank you. Texas. So what we're doing now? Oh, I'm supposed to make the pitch. Oh no, what we're going to do is give away some more wine. Is everybody all liquored up?
I'm not going to pitch it till you're up.
We're not going to do the pitch until you're liquored up. So the next ticket is 547. 547. Yes, someone's going to play us. Okay, that's fine. Yay! Oh, does this microphone take a while to travel back? There's no light. And so the next one is number is 607. 607. Mary's one of our great volunteers, so that You know, see, you volunteer for voices, you win.
You'll win.
And then our last, this is the last ticket, so this is your last chance, and the number is, oh, okay. So the next ticket is 552. 552.
Going once, going twice.
Mary's too outside to say so.
Mary got it.
Are you
kidding? She won another ticket. Not she got
Okay.
that. She did. She was very generous. She got like $100 ticket.
The party's at Mary's house tonight. After party. Okay, and someone donated a bottle back to us.
Yes.
So we have one more. So that number is 518. 518. Very good. There we go. Yay! Good. Okay, that's great. Grab it. Okay, we're party at Carl's house. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed the evening. As I think you were able to tell from this night, there's so many different ways to tell a story, and again, that's what Voices is all about. And so we had, and there's a lot of voices. There's a million stories in this city. I'm not so sure about Moss Landing, but in Monterey County, Santa Cruz County, and so and there's lots of different ways to present it. And this Voices of Monterey Bay is committed to doing these sort of events. Just because it's new and it's different, it's innovative, and it's it's a way for others to be able to get their stories and their points across. So that's what we are doing, and that's what we will continue to do with your continued support. And that's another reason why we're here tonight, is to make the pitch. And what's happened is that we are, Voices of Monterey Bay is affiliated with the Institute for Nonprofit News. We are a nonprofit operation, we're a nonprofit journalism operation, and we're affiliated with, like again I said, Institute for Nonprofit News. And what happens every year, or what's happened for the last couple of years, this time of year, is that some really great foundations pony up a ton of money to do match grants for members of Institute for Nonprofit News, including the Monterey Voices of Monterey Bay. You know what I almost said? I almost said the Monterey Herald. Voices of Monterey Bay, and so it's a generous grant that they make us, but it's depending on us being able to raise the money, because what this is a dollar for dollar match up to $25,000. So they'll match the first $25,000 that we are able to raise, and it's for contributions of individual contributions of up to $1,000. We'll happily take more than $1,000, but they will only match the first 1,000. So that's an opportunity. It's a big opportunity for us to be able to raise money to support us. And what we are doing tonight, and we're proud to announce for the first time ever, is a membership program, so you can become a member of Voices of Monterey Bay. And we're calling our membership program a change maker. You can become a change maker, and what it is levels of giving over a period of a year. So if you would like to be able to get $5 a month for a year, that's a certain level, and it just goes up. If you would like to do the sort of thing that the aquarium and the Strawberry Commission did, and support us while supporting other charities, you can give at the $150 or $125 a month level. So we have all these different levels. Julie has a brochure that I hope everybody gets, and we hope that you will give and give generously and keep our vision alive if you've enjoyed this evening. So thank you so much. We'll be mingling, we'll be out here, we can take your membership pledges up in the back. So again, thank you. And once again, thanks to all our performers, and congratulations to Anna. That is so share that news. That's pretty cool. So thanks again, everybody.
Oh, that's right. I know, after we said, I was like, oh, that. So what are you doing? So I'm running the Arts Council for Monterey County. So they're so fun because things happen like I walk in and Joe says, hey, we're just going to do this. We've got this great art program and you can touch about it. And that happens more and more. Just yesterday I was with the hospital. They're doing this